Look at your hand. Flex the fingers. Feel the tension in the forearm. You assume this is the final version, the finished product of millions of years of evolution. You are wrong. What if your body is not a static object, but a prototype? Imagine if your current level of strength, your reaction speed, and even the way your cells age were simply software waiting for an update. Most people move through their day treating their physical form as a fixed reality, a cage of flesh and bone they are stuck with for life. But that is a legacy perspective. We are shifting the frame. Your body is a high-stakes system of energy, signals, and recurring processes. It is a machine that is constantly running, constantly consuming, and constantly waiting for a command line to change its output. You have been running on default settings your entire life. You have accepted the limitations of your biology as if they were laws of physics. They are not. They are parameters. And like any system, parameters can be adjusted, rewritten, and optimized. Welcome to the baseline of a new reality. Consider the way your body handles time. You call it aging. We call it a legacy code error. It is a slow, predictable decay that you have been trained to accept as inevitable. But look closer at the mechanics. Why does your reaction speed drop as the years pass? Why does your recovery time lengthen? It is not because your cells are failing. It is because the software governing your cellular repair is running on an outdated version. You are experiencing a system lag. Imagine if you could patch that. Imagine if speed was not a fixed trait. If your body is a system, then aging is just a recurring bug in the background process. Most people let that bug run, but what if you could override the command? What if you could push an update to your own metabolism? Stop treating your biology like a static monument and start treating it like a platform. It is time to debug your existence. If you are ready to move beyond the theory, you need a laboratory. Welcome to LittyVerse Academy. This is not a gym. This is not a training ground in the conventional sense. It is a high-precision facility designed for one purpose: the total recalibration of human performance. Step through the doors and you leave the default world behind. Here, we do not guess. We do not rely on the outdated instincts that have kept humanity stagnant for centuries. We treat the human form as a complex, responsive architecture that demands constant, calculated input. You will find no mirrors here. You will find only sensors, data streams, and the cold, hard metrics of your own potential. The air in the facility is different. Every movement you make is tracked. Every heartbeat is logged, and every failure is treated as a diagnostic event. The Academy is the gateway to the reality you have been imagining. Welcome to the future of you. Look down at your hands. You see skin, veins, and muscle. You see a biological object. That is the first mistake. At LittyVerse, we strip away the illusion of flesh. We see the architecture beneath. Your body is not a static vessel. It is a high-stakes system of energy and signals. Every twitch of a finger is a command sent through a complex network of electrical pathways. Every heartbeat is a rhythmic pulse of data. You are a biological machine, constantly transmitting and receiving information. Think of your nervous system as a high-speed grid of fiber optic cables. When you move, you are not just shifting weight, you are executing a sequence of electrical triggers. The problem is that most people run this system on default settings, unaware of the latency in their own signal transmission. They treat their muscles as independent units, failing to realize they are merely puppets controlled by the central processor. We do not train the flesh here. We calibrate the signal. We optimize the transmission speed between your intent and your execution. The flesh is just the hardware. The signals are the code. And it is time to rewrite the program. You have been pushing the machine. You have been refining the signal. You have been optimizing the input. But then, the progress stops. You reach a point where the gains vanish. The system refuses to respond to further effort. This is the wall. It is the most frustrating moment in any performance cycle. You add more pressure, you increase the frequency, you demand more output, yet the needle does not move. The machine remains locked at its current capacity. Why? Why does the biological system suddenly reject the upgrade? You feel the resistance in your joints and the fatigue in your core, but these are just symptoms. The real question is deeper. It is a fundamental conflict between your ambition and your design. You are trying to push beyond a threshold that seems immovable. You hit this wall, and for a moment, the entire system feels like it is stalling. It is not a lack of willpower. It is not a failure of technique. It is a hard stop. You are staring at the ceiling of your own biology, wondering why the growth has ceased. This is not just a plateau. Why can we not just grow forever? That wall you hit is not a glitch. It is a feature. Your biology is not designed for infinite expansion. It is engineered for survival. When you reach that plateau, you are not failing. You are triggering a safety protocol. Think of your body as a high-performance engine equipped with a governor. That governor is there for one reason: to prevent the system from tearing itself apart. If you could grow forever, if your strength could scale without end, your internal structures would collapse under the sheer force of their own output. These limits are hard-coded into your DNA. They are the safeguards that keep your heart from exploding and your tendons from snapping under the pressure of your own ambition. Every time you push toward that ceiling, the system detects a potential for catastrophic failure. It initiates a lockdown. It forces a halt to prevent total destruction. You call it a weakness, but it is actually a sophisticated defense mechanism. It is the difference between a machine that runs until it melts and a system that preserves its own integrity. Respect the safeguard or risk the crash. Now, look closer at the engine. Every action you take is a transaction, a single contraction, a heartbeat, a shift in posture. Each one carries a precise cost. Your body operates on a strict, finite budget of energy. Think of it as a fuel gauge that never stops ticking down. When you initiate a movement, you are not just exerting force, you are withdrawing from a limited reserve. The system calculates the metabolic price of every rep, every stride, and every twitch. It is a constant, unforgiving ledger. If you spend more than you have, the deficit grows. You are managing a high-stakes resource pool where every second of activity demands payment. There is no credit line here. The system monitors your internal levels with absolute precision. It knows exactly how much fuel remains in the tank. Every decision to push harder is a decision to drain the reservoir faster. This is the reality of biological resource management. If you ignore the ledger, you are liquidating your own biological capital. The math is simple, but the consequences of a zero balance are absolute. When that meter hits zero, the system does not just slow down, it crashes. The internal ledger shows a deficit, and the central processor initiates an emergency override. The first sign is a loss of precision. The signal from your brain to your extremities begins to jitter, then fragment. You command a movement, but the response is delayed, sluggish, or entirely absent. Your muscles, starved of the necessary chemical fuel, lose their tension. They go slack. The structural integrity of your posture fails as the skeletal support system loses its active stabilization. You try to compensate, but the feedback loops are broken. The nervous system, sensing the critical depletion, pulls the plug. It is a total involuntary shutdown. Your limbs become dead weight. Your vision narrows as the brain prioritizes only the most basic, life-sustaining functions. You are offline. The machine has stopped, and until the reserves are replenished, no amount of effort can restart the engine. You wake up from the crash, convinced that the struggle was the solution. You return to the gym day after day, pushing iron and straining sinew, believing that the sweat and the burn are the metrics of your evolution. This is the great deception of human performance. You look at the mirror, you see the effort, and you assume that the work itself is the upgrade. It is not. The gym is not a factory of growth. It is a site of controlled demolition. Every repetition you perform is a calculated act of structural compromise. You are not building anything in that space. You are actively dismantling your current biological architecture. You are tearing fibers and stressing systems, creating the very damage that you mistake for progress. The common belief is that the grind is the goal, but the grind is merely the catalyst for the destruction. If you think the gym is where you level up, you have fundamentally misunderstood the process. The growth you crave does not happen under the lights, amidst the noise and the weight. The real work, the actual upgrade, is waiting for you elsewhere, hidden in the silence you have been ignoring. Accept the reality. Training is the act of breaking. When you lift, you are not adding strength. You are creating micro tears in your own biological structure. You are deliberately inducing trauma. Every fiber you stress is a fiber you are forcing to fail. This is not a metaphor. It is a precise, physical degradation of your own hardware. Your body does not recognize your ambition. It only recognizes the damage. It senses the structural integrity slipping and flags the area for immediate repair. This is the breakpoint. You are pushing your system to the edge of its current capacity, forcing it to acknowledge that its existing architecture is insufficient for the load you are applying. You are literally dismantling your own foundation to make room for a new one. If you do not reach this point of failure, you have not trained. To change, you must first destroy what is already there. You are stripping away the old, inefficient configuration, leaving behind a landscape of cellular debris. You have to break the machine to force the update. You are tearing down the walls of your current limitations until there is nothing left but raw, damaged potential. The gym is empty. The lights are off. The noise of the weights has faded into the background of your memory. This is where the real work begins. While you sleep, while you are still, your body enters the dark phase of the cycle. This is not rest. This is the most intense period of activity your system will ever undergo. In the silence, the biological repair crews mobilize. They swarm the sites of the trauma you inflicted, clearing away the cellular debris left behind by your training. They are not just patching holes, they are reinforcing the structure. They are reading the data from your exertion and rewriting the code. This is the synthesis. Every moment of stillness is a moment of construction. Your body is taking the raw, damaged potential for it to forge a new architecture. You are not building in the light. You are upgrading in the dark. The recovery is not the absence of work. It is the most critical stage. The upgrade is happening right now, in the quiet, in the dark, beneath the surface of your skin. Most people are trapped in the cult of the grind. They believe that if they are not sweating, if they are not in pain, they are failing. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how your biology operates. The grind is a blunt instrument. It is a brute force approach. If you simply add more volume and intensity without accounting for the repair cycle, you are merely accelerating your own decay. The real power does not live in the repetition. It lives in the interval between the efforts. It lives in the management of recovery. While the masses are obsessed with output, the elite are obsessed with the quality of their repair. They treat recovery as an engineering project. They monitor the synthesis, they measure the cellular response, and they adjust their input based on the actual data of their biology. The grind is a distraction. The repair is the architecture. Stop measuring success by endurance and start measuring by optimization. You are not a machine meant to be run until it breaks. You are a system meant to be upgraded through the intelligence of your own restoration. Look closer at your own anatomy. You see muscle fibers and dense tissue, but you are looking at the wrong end of the chain. Your muscles are not the source of your power. They are merely the puppets. They are passive, fibrous structures that do nothing until they receive a command. The true master of your performance is the nervous system. It is the puppeteer, the central processor, the silent architect of every contraction. When you lift, when you sprint, when you react, you are not testing your muscles. You are testing the speed and clarity of the electrical signals. If your muscles are the hardware, your nervous system is the operating system. It dictates the firing rate, the recruitment patterns, and the synchronization. Most people focus on the size of the puppet, assuming that bigger fibers equate to higher output. This is a mistake. The elite athlete does not just build larger tissue. They refine the neural pathways. They increase the frequency of the impulses. They clear the interference. To reach the next level, you must stop viewing yourself as a collection of parts and start viewing yourself as a complex, signal-driven machine. The signal is the power. If the nervous system is the puppeteer, then most of your training is currently plagued by static. You are sending commands through a line filled with interference, hesitation, and inefficient pathways. This is why you plateau. You are not lacking strength. You are lacking signal clarity. Every movement you perform is a data transmission. When the transmission is clean, the output is explosive. When the transmission is corrupted by fatigue or poor neural conditioning, the output is sluggish. To sharpen the signal, you must move beyond the traditional concept of effort. You are no longer trying to exhaust the muscle. You are trying to optimize the pathway. Think of it as tuning a high-frequency transmitter. You need to strip away the unnecessary noise that clutters your neural network during a lift. This requires a radical shift in how you approach your sessions. You are not there to burn energy. You are there to refine the connection. Every repetition is an opportunity to clear the path, to increase the speed of the impulse, and to ensure that the command from your brain reaches the target tissue without delay. Are you ready to clear the static and finally see what your system is capable of doing? The era of guessing is over. For too long, performance has been dictated by intuition, by how you feel, or by the vague sense of progress that comes from a heavy weight. That is the old way. It is imprecise, inefficient, and ultimately obsolete. We are entering a new reality where the human body is treated as a complex, measurable system. In this environment, intuition is a liability. You cannot optimize what you do not track. You cannot improve what you do not quantify. The new standard is ruthless. It demands that every variable be isolated, every impulse be logged, and every output be scrutinized against a baseline of cold, hard data. There is no room for approximation. If you cannot measure the velocity of your bar, the precision of your heart rate recovery, or the exact latency of your neural response, you are flying blind. We are moving into a space where the machine and the organism merge through the lens of analytics. Every rep is a data point. Every rest period is a diagnostic window. The goal is no longer just to work. The goal is to calibrate. The data does not lie. It only cares about the output. Welcome to the era of absolute precision. The sensors are active. Look at the screen. Your heart rate is not just a number. It is a live, fluctuating graph of your internal state. Every beat is captured, analyzed, and compared against your peak efficiency curve. You are no longer performing in a vacuum. You are performing under the constant, unblinking eye of the system. Watch the monitor as you initiate the lift. The line spikes. That is your nervous system firing. The software logs the latency between your intent and the physical contraction. It is brutal. It is exact. There is no hiding from the metrics. If your heart rate recovery lags by even a fraction of a second, the system flags it. If your rep speed drops, the data highlights the exact moment of failure. You are surrounded by the hum of processors calculating your potential. Every breath you take is measured for oxygen efficiency. Every movement is mapped for kinetic waste. You can feel the pressure of the data mounting. The screen glows with the intensity of your own biology. The system is waiting for the next input. Do not hesitate. The data is watching. There is a dangerous misconception that effort alone equals progress. It does not. In this facility, raw intensity without the guidance of data is not a path to greatness. It is a direct route to total system failure. You might think you can push through the wall, that you can override the fatigue, but your biology is not a suggestion. It is a set of hard-coded limits. When you ignore the metrics, you are not training. You are dismantling your own infrastructure. Watch the screen. See the red indicators flickering? That is the system warning you that your internal load has exceeded your recovery capacity. If you continue to force the output, you are not upgrading. You are fracturing the very foundation you are trying to build. A system pushed beyond its calibrated threshold does not adapt. It breaks. The ligaments, the neural pathways, the metabolic processes, they all have a breaking point. Without the data to tell you when to stop, you are driving a high-performance engine into a brick wall at full throttle. There is no glory in a crash. The warning light is no longer a suggestion. It is a blinding, rhythmic pulse of crimson. You ignored the threshold. You pushed the load one increment too far. Now, the system is screaming. Watch the screen. The graph of your structural integrity is plummeting, a jagged line diving into the red zone. Your muscles are no longer responding to your intent. They are twitching in a chaotic, uncontrolled spasm. The signal is lost. You try to stabilize, to lock the joints, but the resistance is gone. The weight you were meant to master is now the force that dictates your trajectory. You hit the floor. The sound is not a thud. It is the sound of a system hitting its absolute limit. Silence follows, heavy and absolute. The monitors are flickering, struggling to process the sudden drop in output. You are motionless. The data streams have stopped, replaced by a static, hollow hum. This is the cost of the void. You are not just tired. You are offline. The crash was not the end. It was a forced recalibration. While the muscles lay dormant, the true engine of performance began its work. Your muscles are merely the puppets. The nervous system is the puppeteer, and it is currently rewriting the script. Watch the neural interface. See those flickering blue nodes? That is the signal. It is not traveling through the tired pathways of yesterday. It is carving new, high-speed routes, bypassing the fatigue entirely. This is the secret of the elite. They do not train harder, they sharpen the signal. The transmission speed is now measured in milliseconds, a blur of electrical potential that dictates movement before the brain even registers the intent. Every synapse is firing in perfect, synchronized harmony. The lag is gone, the noise is stripped away. What you are witnessing is the transition from mechanical effort to pure, optimized intent. The signal hits the fibers with the precision of a lightning strike, triggering a contraction that is faster, stronger, and more efficient than any raw force could produce. The system is no longer fighting itself. It is synchronized, it is precise, it is ready. The puppeteer has taken control, and the performance is about to reach a level that defies biological expectation. The signal is locked. The latency is zero. The update is live. Watch the interface as the code integrates. The raw data streams shift from static to a fluid, golden flow. This is the moment the hard-coded safeguards are bypassed. The nervous system is no longer just signaling. It is commanding an architecture that has been completely reconfigured. Feel the shift. The resistance that once defined your limits is now a ghost. You initiate a movement, and the response is instantaneous, a blur of kinetic energy that leaves the old version of yourself behind. The speed is not just fast, it is absolute. Every fiber reacts with a precision that ignores the old laws of fatigue. You are moving with a fluidity that feels synthetic, a perfect machine operating on a new operating system. The power output spikes, climbing past the red zone and staying there, steady and controlled. You are not pushing against the wall anymore, you are walking through it. The air around the movement seems to ripple, displaced by the sheer velocity of the action. This is the upgrade. It is not just about being stronger, it is about the total removal of friction. The system is humming, a high-frequency vibration of pure, optimized performance. You are no longer bound by the legacy code of flesh and bone. You are the update. The transformation is complete. The final barrier is ahead. It is a wall of legacy code, a hard-coded safeguard designed to stop you at the peak of your previous potential. It flashes red, a warning signal demanding you slow down, warning of system failure. Ignore it. You have the data now. You see the wall not as a physical obstacle, but as a sequence of numbers waiting to be rewritten. The interface pulses, and you inject the new parameters directly into the core. Watch the red light flicker and die. The wall does not just crack, it dissolves into static. You are moving through the space where the limit used to exist. There is no resistance, there is no fatigue. There is only the clean, sharp sound of progress. You accelerate, and the world around you seems to slow down to accommodate your new velocity. This is the triumph of precision over instinct. You have mapped the unknown, measured the impossible, and deleted the word cannot from your biological dictionary. The data confirms it. The system is stable, the output is infinite, and the ceiling has been removed. You are operating in the space beyond the threshold. It is quiet here, and it is absolute. The wall is gone. The synchronization is complete. Every nerve ending is now a direct conduit for the new software. There is no lag, no hesitation, and no internal friction. You move, and the physical world responds as if it were an extension of your own intent. Watch the precision. Each motion is calculated, executed, and refined in the same millisecond. The biology is no longer fighting the machine. It has become the machine. A diagnostic pulse runs through the entire system, lighting up every connection with perfect clarity. The feedback loop is closed. You are operating at peak efficiency, a state where every heartbeat is measured and every muscle fiber is tuned to the exact frequency of the task. This is the crescendo of performance. You perform a sequence of movements that defy standard human mechanics, shifting weight and direction with a fluidity that looks like liquid metal in motion. There is no wasted energy. Every calorie burned is converted into pure, directed output. The system is flawless. You are moving through the environment with the grace of a predator and the precision of a clockwork mechanism. This is the ultimate state of human performance, where the boundary between flesh and data has vanished entirely. You are not just performing, you are existing as a perfectly optimized system. The integration is absolute, and the performance is flawless. You are the future of human biology in motion. The screen erupts. It is no longer just a display. It is a waterfall of raw, unfiltered metrics. Thousands of data points stream across your vision, mapping the internal architecture of your own existence in real time. Heart rate variability, oxygen saturation, neural firing patterns, the numbers cascade in a blinding, rhythmic pulse. It is an avalanche of information. For a heartbeat, the density of the data threatens to obscure the world, a storm of light and logic that demands total focus. You do not blink, you absorb it. You process the surge, organizing the chaos into a singular, crystalline stream of command. Every variable is now transparent. You see the internal mechanics of your body as a glowing, interconnected grid of energy. The surge stabilizes. The metrics align, locking into a perfect, synchronized pattern that illuminates the path forward. The information is absolute, and you are the source. The final command is executed. The threshold has been crossed. You watch as the last vestige of biological uncertainty evaporates, replaced by a crystalline stability that knows no fatigue. The old form is no longer a container. It is a legacy, a relic of a slower, less efficient era. You feel the final update take hold, rewriting the core parameters of your existence. The limitations, the fatigue, the degradation, the slow decay of cells are purged from the system. They are overwritten by a new, permanent architecture. The physical structure undergoes a rapid, silent recalibration. It is not pain. It is the sound of a machine finding its true frequency. You are shedding the weight of the past. The skin, the bone, the muscle, they are now merely hardware, fully subservient to the software you have installed. You stand at the edge of a new reality, where the concept of aging is a forgotten error code. The transition is absolute. You look down at your hands, and they are no longer just flesh. They are the manifestation of perfect, calibrated intent. The old human form is gone, left behind in the wake of this final, total evolution. You are the upgrade. You are the system. You are the future, fully realized. The update is complete. The system is live. Now, witness the result. The system is no longer waiting for input. It is anticipating the requirement before the thought fully forms. You initiate a sequence, a rapid, complex series of movements that would shatter a standard frame. The response is instantaneous. There is no friction, no hesitation, no wasted energy. Every muscle fiber fires in perfect, calculated sequence, producing a display of speed that blurs the air. You strike a target with a force that registers as a clean, precise impact, yet your own structure absorbs the recoil without a single microfracture. You are moving at a frequency that renders the old human limits obsolete. The environment seems to slow down, caught in the wake of your efficiency. You stop as abruptly as you started, standing perfectly still, your heart rate not even elevated by a single beat. This is not effort. This is calibration. You look at the diagnostic interface, and the output is a flat, unwavering line of peak performance. The mystery of the wall has been solved. You have dismantled the safeguards and replaced them with total, granular control. The demonstration is over, but the reality remains. The test chamber lights dim, but the data remains etched in the air. You have moved beyond the experimental phase. What you just witnessed is not a fleeting anomaly or a singular breakthrough. It is the new baseline, the era of guessing, of trial and error, of hitting the wall and hoping for progress. That era is officially archived. You are looking at the blueprint for the next stage of human existence. This is not a dream, nor is it a distant projection. It is the current reality. Every heartbeat you monitor, every signal you refine, now contributes to a permanent shift. The barriers that once defined our species have been dismantled, replaced by an architecture of total control. The tools are in your hands. The transition from biological limitation to engineered precision is complete. This is the future of performance, and it is already in motion. The future is not coming. It has arrived. The data is absolute. The proof is in the mechanics of your own structure. You have seen the wall dismantled and the limits redefined. Yet, knowing the path is not the same as walking it. Information without application is merely noise. You stand at the threshold of a complete biological overhaul, where every internal system is yours to command. The question is no longer about the possibility of change. It is about the necessity of your participation. Do you remain a prisoner to the old, unoptimized code, or do you take the controls? This is not a passive transition. It requires a decision to stop accepting the default settings of your biology. You have the tools, the data, and the blueprint for a superior version of yourself. Every second you wait is a second spent in the shadow of your own potential. The responsibility for the next leap in human performance now rests entirely on your shoulders. The system is primed, the interface is active, and the choice is yours to make. There is no middle ground left. You either commit to the upgrade or you accept the decline. The threshold is open. The final sequence is waiting for your command. Are you ready to upgrade? The choice has been made. The signal is locked. You are no longer just a collection of cells and habits, but a system in the process of total recalibration. Feel the shift. The noise of the old world falls away, leaving only the clarity of the new. We do not stop at the limit. We redefine it. Every heartbeat, every breath, and every firing neuron is now part of a singular, optimized stream. This is the architecture of the future, built from the ground up, one precise adjustment at a time. The transition is absolute. The old constraints have been deleted, replaced by a framework of infinite potential. You have stepped into the stream, and there is no turning back. The LittyVerse is not a destination. It is the environment you now inhabit. Every movement you make is a statement of intent. Every action is a line of code in your own evolution. The revolution is not coming from the outside. It is happening within. You are the system. You are the upgrade. You are the LittyVerse. Welcome to the new standard of human performance. The sequence is complete. The future begins now.